Hi, everybody. How are you this Thursday? It is time for Lunchtime Live. I'm going to give everybody just a second to join in, and I'm going to get over to where I can see the video. So today I'm going to be demoing how to do the ears on my Sunny, the baby bunny amigurumi pattern. Sorry, there's a bit of glare there, but the pattern is up on the website. I put it up last week, so you should be able to see that. Okay, so I've got other stuff to tell you first, though. Obviously, it's Thursday. It wouldn't be Thursday if I didn't remind you about the Scrappy Stitchers link party. So be sure to go get your links in for that. It ends tomorrow. So if you haven't added your link, add it now, and then also vote for your favorites by clicking on them. So be sure to get your links in for that. That's the first thing. And then I've got a scrubby pattern coming out on August 3rd. And I showed it to you very briefly before because it's for a Cal, so I couldn't really show you all the details, but it's coming out very soon. So now I feel like I can show you a little bit more. So let me just flip over and show you that real quick. So this is the scrubby. It's got a little handle that you can put your hand in, and it's got this neat texture on the bottom. The way this is made is kind of unique. It's a mesh tube. It starts out with this base part, and then there's a big, long mesh tube that gets scrunched up and rolled up into this kind of almost donut-y shape and then sewed closed. Now, this is sewed closed already, so I can't open it out and show it to you, but I do have a video on how to do that. And you don't have to sew it closed. If you leave it open or even just pull the strings through here and tie a bow, then you can open it out later and it'll dry faster that way. But I decided to sew it closed because I like the nice tight closing and I don't want it to open when I'm scrubbing. So I kind of like it like this, and it dries just fine. It's cotton. So this pattern will be coming out on the 3rd, and that's for the Crochet Along Central Scrubby Cal. So that's the first pattern I've got coming out next week. Now, I know I've been promising this one to you guys for a while, and I'm making progress. This is the scarf I've been working on. Excuse me. So I'm loving this yarn. This is that yarn from Brenda and Heather Yarns I've been working with. It is a sock yarn, so this is going a little slower. But if you look here, you can clearly see the difference between the darker and the lighter color, right? But the gradient is so gradual that as you're working with it, you really can't see where it changes color. It doesn't change color in one big jump, you know? So I'm loving that gradient. It's a really subtle gradient, and it's going to get much lighter by the time it's done. But I'm making good progress on it. I think I'm about 2/3 of the way done. So hopefully I will have that for you next week. Realistically, it might be the week after, but I'm still trying to get it out to you by next week. I always say that, and then things happen and I don't get it done, but I will try. So what else do I have for you next week? Oh, next week for the Lunchtime Live, I've ordered some new yarns from Lion Brand. They've got a whole bunch of new yarns they just came out with, and I basically asked for 1 or 2 of each one of the ones that I was interested in to try out, play with, make patterns with, and they agreed to send them to me. So they're sending me the yarns to check out and play with and show you. And if I get them in time before next Thursday, which I should, I will unbox them and show them to you right here on Lunchtime Live. So stay tuned for that. There's some exciting new yarns in the bunch there. Okay. So I think that's all that I had to tell you about. It's been a light week as far as things to tell you about. Other things new on the blog, there's, what else is new on the blog? There's a roundup of summer patterns that I just posted, and then there's a Tangi review and instructions on how to go to Tangi and look at the videos there. Really cool new social media platform. Be sure to check that out if you haven't yet. But let's get on to the demo because I know that's what you guys really want to see. I'm just going to pop over real quick and see if anybody's got any comments or questions on anything so far. I'm trying to get to my video and it's not showing up for me for some reason. So let me go here. Oh, there we are. Okay. So watch video and then mute. Okay. Good. Now I see me there and then on. There we go. Okay, so now I'm here on YouTube and Facebook if you guys have any questions. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Beth. Good morning. Nice to see you guys. Okay, so now that I know that I'm here and you're here, let's flip over and we can do the demo for today. So this is Sunny the baby bunny that I showed you earlier, and what I'm going to show you how to do is these two-layer ears. All right, I have done the inner layer, because the inner layer and the outer layer are exactly the same stitches, so I didn't feel the need to show you, in detail this layer. I am using this green yarn for the outer layer because it just shows up better on camera than the white. So we're halfway through the ear, looking at the inner layer. This is the top where there's just one stitch and I've bound it off right here, or fastened it off. This is the bottom where my starting chain is, and you can see that there's 2 stitches there. Okay, you see the 2 little holes. All right, so this is where we're going to start from. And right side, wrong side, totally doesn't matter right now. It won't matter until we do the edging, in fact. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our outside color. This tail, whatever you leave for a tail here, is what you're going to have to sew the ear to the bunny with. I'm not bothering with a huge tail right now because it's just a demo and I'm not actually using the ear. But if I was using the ear, I'd probably leave about that much of a tail just to have enough, what is that, like 8 to 10 inches, maybe even 12, just to have enough to sew on and weave in without any trouble. So we're going to start with these 2 stitches here at the base of the ear, and we're going to join in the first one with a slip stitch. So pull the loop up and then finish the slip stitch, right? Easy peasy. First row, we're doing a single crochet in each of the 2 stitches. So single crochet, 2 single crochets. Second row, we're doing 2 single crochets, 1 in each of the 2 stitches. Great, 2 single crochets. Third row, we're going to do some increases, and this is where it gets fun. I use a different increase. The traditional increase would put 2 single crochets right here in this same hole, right in that stitch. But that makes a bigger gap and it's a little bulky. So I use a slightly more invisible increase for amigurumi, where you first go in, you put the first stitch in just the back loop. So we do a single crochet in just the back loop. Now the second stitch goes under both loops. And what that does is it puts each stitch into a separate loop, so you don't get quite such a big hole or quite such an obvious increase. So that's 2 stitches. Let's do another increase here. 1 in the back loop, and then 1 in the normal spot of the stitch. There we go. Now we've got 4 stitches. Now this is the part where I'm going to crochet really fast because rows 4 through 10 are just single crochet in each stitch. So this is row 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is a good time to ask questions if you have any. This is row 5, row 6, row 7. Hey, you guys want to see something fun? I taught myself how to crochet backwards. I'm going to do row 8 backwards, okay? Are you ready? It's like crab stitch, except you insert your hook in from the back. So you go in from the back, okay? You yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and finish your stitch. So this is row, oh shoot, I lost count. What row am I on? Do you guys remember? I think I'm on 7. Let's see, I'll count in a second. Anyway, so there we go. I've done that row without having to turn my work. Isn't that fun? Okay, so this is row 8, I think. I'm going to stop and count when I get to 10. 9. And 10. Now let me make sure I actually have 10 here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I did one too many rows. There we go. Okay. So now on row 11, we're going to start doing some decreases. So row 11, we're going to do a decrease right in the middle. And again, I have a fun, different way of doing a decrease. So I'm going to do one single crochet, and then I'm going to decrease over these 2 stitches. The normal way would be you pull up a loop in this stitch, you pull up a loop in this stitch, and then you go through all 3, and that is a single crochet 2 together, right? But that can be a little bulky, and it looks like a cluster. So I'm going to make this look a little more like a single crochet, and I learned this from someone else. Yeah, Sandy, it is a little confusing at first, but if you're just doing single crochets, you can get it. It's actually not that hard if you try it. If you've ever done crab stitch and you're able to do that, which is that reverse single crochet, you actually can do it. It's not so bad. Okay, so now what I'm going to do for this decrease is instead of going into the whole stitch, I'm just going to go under the front loop, okay? I've just put my hook under the front loop. Now I'm going to kind of twist around here and put my hook under the front loop of the next stitch. So now I've got under the front loop of both stitches that I want to decrease. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull up my loop in that combined stitch there, okay? So that is now what my decrease is going to look like on the bottom. So I yarn over and pull through to finish the stitch, and there's my decrease. Looks much more like a regular single crochet, and it's much less bulky. So there's one stitch, there's my decrease, and then I finish with this last stitch. Okay, so there's 3 stitches. Now the next row, I believe, oh, I gotta go look at my pattern. I believe the next row is just single crochet in every stitch, but let me double check that. Nope, yes, next row is single crochet in every stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and then we've got 2 decrease rows left. On this row, we're going to do the decrease first. This is row 13, so we're going to go into the stitch and do the decrease there in those 2 stitches, and then a single crochet in this one. So that's 2. And then on the very last row, we're going to do just 1 decrease. Just like that, and then finish the stitch. Now, don't fasten off because we've still got the edging to do. There are 14 rows in both of these layers, okay? So we're going to do 14 stitches around. We're basically going to do 1 stitch in each row. So notice that this tail is on the inside here. I like to, if you can't pull it out of the way, I like to actually pull it through so that it's on the outside, whichever way I fold my fabric up, because you're going to want to sew that in later, and you want it easily accessible. So I'm going to fold this up like this, okay, match up my rows, and you can see the edges of the rows where the little bumps are and where the little loops are. Try and match that up really well, okay? And this is where you actually finally get a right side and a wrong side. Whatever you're doing here, this is your right side row, okay? So if you folded it up this way, then you want to go like this, okay? Because you want pink to be on the top. At least I do. You could do it either way. It really won't matter. See, here's the thing. When you look at the inside of the ear, you see the right side of the stitches here. Okay? If you did it the other way, then you would see the right side of the stitches here when you looked at the outside of the ear. So really, it's a matter of personal preference. I like it because this is my favorite side of the ear, so I like it seeing the front of the stitches there. You can do it either way and it's not going to matter, but whatever you do here becomes the right side row. So chain 1 to start the row, and now we're going to find the very first row, which is right here, and it's a little fiddly to get into that very first row because it just wants to open up on you. Just go ahead and go into that first row, pull the tails tight so it doesn't open up, and if you don't want it to be that floppy, you can actually try and go into the middle of the V. Do you see that little V there? You could try to go into the middle of the V if you want to tighten it up a little bit, but there we go. Okay, so now we're going into both layers, and we're going to do a single crochet. And just tug on your tail, it should tighten. Okay, so now we're going to do 14 total. So that was 1, and we're going to just go into every row. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm working through both layers. 7, 8, 9, 10, row here, 14. Okay, so now we've come to the bottom, and when we actually finish these ears, we're going to kind of fold them in on themselves, so we don't want a lot of bulk at the bottom. So we're just going to do one chain to get across to the other side. Don't worry about what it looks like here because that's all going to go away when you sew it in. So just one chain to get across to the other side, line up your stitches again, and then do 14 stitches here. And don't let your chain get too loose either. It can tend to do that. So one nice firm chain here. Make sure all your tails are out of your way. It just goes right around like that, okay? And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You guys love listening to me count, don't you? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And exact placement is not that critical as long as you're getting approximately, one stitch with every row, and you get 14 stitches as you go around. Where you put it in those stitches, just be consistent and you're good. So now we get to the end, and we're going to do a slip stitch to finish off the round, and then you fasten off. There's a very long tail there, but then you fasten off. Now when you sew it in, what you want to do, see you've got this little bubble here, right? I like to push that little bubble to the front. Just make it nice and neat, right? So there's my nice neat edge. In fact, you can pull these tails out through here if you want. You can bring the tails out to the front. You're going to sew in all of your tails except for the one that you saved for sewing it onto the rabbit. And then when you sew it on, you want to kind of curl it in like this, okay? Because you want to give it that shape. So sew it in, fold it like this even, and sew it on through there. So then you get, when you're looking at the bunny, you get it kind of coming to a point there, and you get that nice kind of curvy shape. It's not just flat. See how it bounces off of his head a little bit here, and it's not just flat on his head. So that's what you want to do there. And that is how you make the bunny ear for Sunny the baby bunny. I'm going to flip back over here. Hi. And let me see, do you guys have any questions? Anything you want me to show you again? Anything I went through too fast? I'm going to try and do a tutorial of that and add it to the pattern at some point. And I will show you crocheting backwards again at some point too, if anybody ever wants to see that. Maybe I'll do that as a full demo one time, because that's really fun. Anybody, anything else? Nope. Okay, well, that's all I have for you today, so I will see you again next week. And thank you for joining me, and have a good weekend. Bye.